From now on, there were aircraft appointed to fly in favor of headquarters, taking pictures of interest 3 miles or further behind the lines. And there were aircraft appointed to each frontline division. We had a front of 4 divisions at the time. And they were supposed to take pictures of that part of the front and immediately behind it. 2 army photographers were appointed, 1 at each airfield. While there were 4 divisional photographers, 2 at Nemours airfield and 2 at Houten airfield. And of course these men knew their part of the front as if it was their garden, of course. Again, some facts. Early 1917, Kokstede airfield became a very vulnerable place both for artillery shells and aerial bombardments, and therefore it was decided to abandon the place, which was actually completed by the end of February 1917. 17 also saw the introduction of offensive patrols flown in flights. But mind you that the flight in the Belgian army was only 3 aircraft. We saw that mid-17 the photographic service reorganized, and that the Seaplane Squadron, they returned from the Congo and they were recreated at Calais in August. They became operational in December 1917. The mixed escadrille Franco-Belge left the Belgian front, which meant that the Belgian observers now returned to the Belgian army. The French army could no longer house the Belgian pilot school at that time, and they prepared a new place for them. In December, the pilot school was moved to GVC, which was close to Paris. Belgian pilots were at current about the Russian Revolution and what it meant. Scores of German divisions coming to the Western Front. German offensive was expected in the spring of 1918, and with so many divisions a breakthrough was feared, which would result in finally leaving the small piece of unoccupied country. And the Belgian air service scored 29 aerial victories officially. Due to climatological reasons, like mist of drizzling rain, poor visibility, aerial reconnaissance could not always be carried out. Fighter pilots apparently did not suffer from these weather conditions, as 1/3 of the missions flown proved to be offensive patrols. And again, the number of war missions increased, now with more than 2,000 flights. In 1918, with the aircraft of André de Meulemeester. So a last reorganization of the Belgian army, including the military aviation. Although still a small arm compared to the French or British air forces, it could now boast 4 groups, 2 observation groups, an army group, and a pursuit group. The observation groups. Number 1 squadron was actually never deployed because it had to wait until after the armistice for the delivery of the de Havilland TH4s they had ordered. Therefore, it became an army park squadron. And also note that in the same observation group, commanding officer Iserantin and Denis were at the post they held since 1914.
Walter? Question. The previous slide, the aircraft on the bottom right, what is the 2-seater, what was that? On the bottom right.
Span
11. Span 11?
No, that's a Breguet.
Yeah, no, the other.
This is Span 11, yeah.
Span 11.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It appears in my book.
If I had your book, I would.
Now, who was that? Look what you've done. So, the Army Group. The Army Group comprised of a dedicated photo observation squadron, a bombing and night observation unit, and a seaplane squadron. This was actually the first bombing squadron of the Belgian Air Service, and the fact that it had never been created before is quite logical. Whereas the Germans could bomb wherever they wanted, it was all enemy territory in the end, French and British air forces bombed strategic places, but the Belgian air service could only bomb places of which they were sure they did not harm Belgian citizens. And such places were very hard to find except for 2 airfields in Houtels Forest. The pursuit group was unofficially known as Groupe de Chasse because he was in overall command of this group. The creation and the organization of this left him grounded for more than a year. But then again, he continued to fly as from July 1918, and he scored 2 more victories later in the war. 11th Squadron was originally created as an escort unit, but it never did so because it was fell out in the task of the fighter pilots. May 1918 produced 2 more aces, bringing the final score of Belgian aces to 5. First there was Jan Olislaers, who gained his 5th and 6th victory in 5th on March, May the 3rd, in his 6th and 19th of May. Remember that he opened his score in September 1915. And of course there was Willy Koppers, who started his run for victories on April 25th and achieved ace status on 19 May. But his score would rise rapidly when he found the right tactics and the right person to give him the ammo to destroy enemy balloons. Now speaking about Jan Olislaers, he was a very kind and likable man. Everybody liked him, well, more or less. But he was very much into camouflage. In fact, it was an obsession from him. And one day he was again complaining to his carpenter or anyone who painted the aircraft, who camouflaged the aircraft. And that man was so annoyed that during the night he returned to the hangar. So he returned to the hangar and he made a large sign and he put it in front of Olislaers' aircraft, which said, "Attention, here stands an aircraft." Whether he liked it or not, I don't know. The final offensive started September 28th, so a temporary reorganization and brought the Belgian and French air service together. Overall command was given to French Wing Commander Bousdry. The air service was divided into Army Aviation and Divisional Aviation. The Army Aviation consisted of the Belgian and 1 French pursuit group, the Belgian Army Group and 1 French Army Group, which were all under command of French officers, except for the Belgian group, the Belgian pursuit group, of course. Then there were the Divisional group, which comprised both French and Belgian units, and they were divided in 3 subgroups, South, Center and North. The latter being under the command of Belgian Robert Lanis. The final offensive, of course, resulted in much activity in bad weather conditions. October 1918 became the most active month of the military aviation in terms of aerial combats. I recorded 200 combats, during which 17 confirmed and 5 unconfirmed victories were claimed, against 12 victories for the Germans, which resulted in 5 crew members being killed in action. And 14 aircraft were lost due to enemy fire. Again, some facts that real quick, such as reorganization. The observation pilots started to fly escort missions for their own squadron mates, and this was done because the pursuit group could no longer carry out these missions. Therefore, a number of separate camels, Handiols, and Neocorps were delivered to these 2-seater squadrons. Then on 26 March, a dogfight was fought over the flooded area between naval camels and the Marineveldjagers, and the yellow flight of André de Meulemeester joined the combat. And during that combat, an aircraft was shot down, whilst another was claimed out of control, both by Naval Captain Kierstead, the Canadian. The out of control claim, he claimed, was shared with Belgian pilots, and therefore the yellow flight received a confirmed victory, but they refused. They were hot on the heels of the German pilots, who managed to hitch up away and escape to the other side of the lines. And the 3 Belgian pilots following him were full of admiration, and they did not want to be credited with a victory they did not win. With Kierstead, however, he did not bother, and he was credited with his 11th victory. That's why they have so few aces. The pessimism of a possible retreat did not bother, still existed amongst the Belgian pilots, who were, believing the diary of 1 or 2 pilots, quite downhearted in April 1918. But during that month, 2 observation squadrons played Schlachtflieger, boosting their morale by strafing attacking German troops from an altitude of only 25 meters. Firing 10,000 rounds of ammunition, the German assault on the Belgian troops, which was part of the spring offensive, was completely broken and the lost ground was regained. Gilbert Horry was a wingman to Jan Olislagers, and in May he scored 2 victories, but both being credited to Jan Olislagers for his 5th and 6th. Sometimes a pilot could get a shared victory. It could have been the case in both victories, but somehow he was denied twice. He was rather upset with this, and he transferred into an observation squadron, where he saw Arthur Rohr as the most aggressive pilot of his unit in terms of aerial combats. Willy Koppers, of course, was a shining and shooting star of the Belgian army, and was admired by the entire Belgian population. And although he was considered as the best pilot of his squadron, his marksmanship as a fighter pilot chasing aircraft was not at all brilliant. He could only claim 2 aircraft, which he attacked rather clumsily. I have explained Bloody October, and on October 17th, numbers 11 and 9 Squadron landed at Ostend Beach. Although there were still German troops in the town and no allies. Fighter pilot Jean van der Voort, who landed at the beach, wrote it in a letter home that they, and not the British Army, took Ostend. And the continuous fighting finally resulted in an overall victory, and the Belgian Army scored 74 more victories.